What's up? Felix Flair here, sitting here with my boy Jonas Landwehr. And we are just before we are heading to Superbooth. We are sitting here in the Thomann studio in Berlin, and we have the opportunity to get an exclusive first look at this beautiful piece. What is it?
It's the SE3X by Studio Electronics.
Do you think this is trying to say us something, this title, or is it just a coincidence?
I don't know.
Anyways, this is just like a super brief, hands-on first look at this thing, because we didn't have a lot of time
First encounter,
basically. With a brief overview. So as you can see, we have some other gear here. The Octa track essentially is just sequencing it, creating MIDI, and we have some samples here as a backing track.
Yeah.
The audio is coming through this chain. First, the El Capistan, which is a beautiful tape-style delay, and the Eventide. We're going to have a listen in a second. But first, let me start the MIDI pattern and mute all of the channels. So I think this is our sound, our dry sound. No, it's not dry. This is dry. Almost. Yeah. So here we can actually already have a listen at the super dry signal. I think in this case we have 3 oscillators running, and we're gonna get into that in a second. Because super dry analog vintage style oscillators are a bit boring on their own. Let's add some tape style delay. Yeah, and what distinguishes this from a digital delay, it is a digital delay, but from the characteristic of a tape, what makes it special is that if you change the time.
You had this one before?
No, but they all work the same basically. You actually also change the pitch of the wet signal, because with the tape delay, you would have to change the tape, the delay time. You would have actually have to change the speed of the tape. So in return, you would accidentally also change the pitch of the current delayed signal. Yeah, which is a beautiful vintage style artifact. Up next here, the Eventide H9. This basically has all of the important Eventide pedal effects in one pedal.
Like harmonizer, pitch vector, reverb.
Yeah, all of these. And here we basically just have the super basic, legendary black hole reverb algorithm, which is like everyone's favorite ultra large digital techno reverb.
But it sounds so satisfying.
Yeah, it's the best reverb ever. Yeah. Exactly. And here we also have some wow and flutter on the delay, which is also like an old tape style characteristic. And if we have this endless repeat, we also get this beautiful tape style artifacts here. All right, Jonas, why don't you go ahead and walk us through this general layout here, just the very basics.
Yeah. I think, so we have mentioned that it's a monophonic synthesizer, and this one you can control over here with the basic settings and function of volume and glide or portamento. Yeah. And here we can find the modulation with 3 different LFOs. In this patch we are not using any LFOs because we did a deep dive into the menu settings and everything.
Yeah.
And but you can assign 3 different LFOs to ports with filter, etc. Here we have the oscillator bank.
Yeah, maybe let's listen to them separately. Yeah. So now we should only hear the first oscillator, which on its own, right now it's a
pulse.
Yeah, exactly, square. And here we can, because it's a square, we can change the pulse width. Classic sound. This would, for example, be a target for an LFO modulation, for classic pulse width modulation. Okay, now let's have a listen at this one. Saw wave. Always has beautiful overtones, because
I think it's actually crazy that you can like combine 3 different waveforms.
Yeah, actually you can
in 3 different.
But let's first listen to them individually. Up next, the triangle. As usual, almost no overtones. Now the saw with a lot of overtones, and this one with different overtones.
Which one do you prefer?
I always use the saw wave as a foundation for almost all of my sounds.
No matter square.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, Team Square.
But actually we can activate them at the same time. think it's even a bit more powerful if you have actually one per oscillator. And now we can add in the next oscillator, which in this case is tuned up, I think, by an octave.
1 octave. So actually, well, you can control the synthesizer on 2 different panels.
Yeah.
And the white letters are like the front panel, I would say, and a bit deeper.
The shift.
You can press shift, and then you have different settings on it.
Yeah. So actually, fairly intuitive design. And
took me a while to be honest. So.
And then we have this third layer here, third oscillator playing, I think, 2 octaves above. So now let's take it for a ride with some effects again. And we can actually have a look at the filter section now. What do you know about this?
First, I think we should mention, as said, that you can patch it into a paraphonic one, actually.
Yeah, of course.
Which makes the monophonic synthesizer a bit standing out, so kind of faked polyphony. And
because you can use individual oscillators to play notes individually, different notes. So it's a fake polyphony, effectively.
Exactly. So in here we have the filter section, and we can choose in between different modes. So the first one is the mini mode. Then we have the ARP 2600 mode and 3 different Juno, kind of Roland modes.
So effectively we have 5 different well-beloved vintage synth filter styles, characteristics, and let's have a look at them or listen. This is the ARP. This is the mini Moog, I guess. ARP again. And now the 3 Junos. And now the third. And then I think I prefer the 2600.
Same.
Because I have various positive associations with this filter sound. And then lastly here also fairly casual function that you find on a lot of synths is the filter tracking. So what this does, in case you don't know, the more I open it up, the more higher notes will actually open up the decay time effect, the cutoff frequency of the filter. And that's a characteristic that you find in a lot of acoustic sounds that happen in the real world as well. The higher the sound is pitch-wise, the more
it makes it a bit more organic, natural characteristics.
Exactly. So if I now open it up, you're going to hear that the higher notes actually will have a higher filter cutoff frequency. And I think this is beautiful because sometimes when I want to hear all of the higher notes, I don't want actually the bass to be fully open filter-wise. But at this setting, we basically only hear the bass, so therefore filter tracking, very important.
It makes it more moody, more for the break, more.
All right, and then we here have some samples, so we can hear how it sounds in the context. I think this is some pad sound that I created a while ago, I think on a computer with Massive. So we can hear how this thing holds up in a musical context. Beautiful stuff, I'd say. What's your verdict on this one?
I mean, as said, we just got it 1 or 2 hours ago, and we cannot judge everything, of course, and we did not check every little detail in the manual. But from now on, I can say the sound-wise, I think it's really, really nice. It's really rich, fat. So
yeah, I think it has a very Moogy sound, and also especially this oscillator section here obviously is very reminiscent of the classic mini Moog sound, and we see it here referenced in the filter type as well. And I think it's due to the fact that Studio Electronics, I was told, basically started out by taking old Moog synths and converting them into the rack format, while actually using some original Moog parts and basically just converting them to this. But by now, obviously, yeah, they're creating all of their own internals. But that's, I think, why the Moog DNA seems to be present here in these rack synths. But yeah, it tries obviously with some digital control for analog internals to give some contemporary flexibility and also some beautiful choices, especially with the 5 different filter characteristics, which I think is fairly lovely.
I'm really into the design, I think. Of course, black. I like blue. I like red. I like the name.
Yeah,
I like
the name is maybe my favorite thing. Yeah. All right. I guess that's it for our very brief first look at the Studio Electronics SE3X. I guess that's it. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time. Peace out.